Hello everyone and welcome back to Unity of Command. This is the campaign scenario Gallop/Star from the Soviet campaign of the base game. January the 29th, 1943. Soviet victories along the Don tear a gaping hole between Manstein's army group in the Donbass and Army Group B defending east of Kharkov. Stavka is bursting with optimism. The prevailing opinion is that Germans are in full-blown retreat west across the Dnieper. This is the last historical scenario in this campaign, because if you know the historical setting, then you know that this attack actually overextended the Soviet supply lines and capabilities and led into the final successful major German offensive on the Eastern Front, and thus into a defeat for the Soviets. So obviously, this is not written here, obviously, but at the first glance, we as the Soviets outnumber the Germans 2-1 quite clearly, and we get a logistics and 3 partisans actions, special actions per turn. So it looks quite promising, and it's actually not a difficult scenario if you know what you're doing. But the trick is that there is a nasty surprise prepared by the scenario designer. And if you know your history, then you know that it's coming and you're kind of prepared for it. This is actually, if I remember correctly, this is the first attempt. And so here it is. The map is quite tall but not very wide, and you can already see that we outnumber the opposition quite heavily, and that the enemy forces are quite a mishmash, coming from, going from excellent units like this Großdeutschland Panzergrenadier Division, which has 5 steps and veteran. It's quite a very, very strong unit, all the way down to half-depleted Hungarians, and interestingly it's called Corps Kramer, and which is the previous scenario was a German unit also named like this, and some half-depleted or weakened Panzer divisions and some very weak infantry divisions. So it's all a mishmash of enemy forces. On our side we have excellent units mostly, so veteran divisions, a lot of them with specialist steps, or at least a lot of the infantry units have T-34s attached. This one is a gun, and yeah, we outnumber them 2-1. So this shouldn't be a difficult battle, and it isn't actually, especially if you know what's happening, because both sides are going to receive reinforcements. Interestingly, we are also receiving a tank division identical to this one in the extreme north around Kursk, and and the Germans are going to receive huge amounts of reinforcements. So this Soul DR/Deutschland, I don't know what this DR says, maybe it's the 2nd division, Das Reich, question mark, which is quite weak, so it's quite weakened. It's still a formidable opponent, by the way. So is this one in Belgorod, by the way. It's an elite FBB, whatever it is. 2+1 steps, but it sits in the city X, and it's elite. Don't underestimate this unit. The enemy is going to receive a lot of reinforcements. The best SS divisions are going to arrive around Poltava, and will mount a counterattack against Kharkov, just as it happened historically. And you have nothing that can stop them, so the way to go about them is not in open battle, because you will just lose. And also, I was quite surprised that the AI receives another SS infantry division here, east to Stalino, which is Donetsk, I believe, today. So anyway, let's take a look at our objectives. We have altogether 5 objectives to hit. The first one is Belgorod in the north, and we can't wait with this one, otherwise we have time to play around and play it strategically. So Belgorod, capture Belgorod quickly, and the way towards Kharkov is open, to be taken by the end of turn 3, so we practically need to rush in and destroy it. We cannot wait until this unit gets depleted, unfortunately, so we need to crush it in open battle, which is not nice. Then we have Slavyansk in the east or southeast. Germans will try to hold onto this shoulder of our preparation towards the south, and Pavlograd in the middle, a bit to the west of here. Cut off Kharkov area and secure our way to Zaporozhye. And these two objectives need to be taken by the end of turn 5. Then by turn 6, it's the crown jewel of the offensive, Kharkov. We must not fail in our repeated attempt to take this major city. And by the end of turn 7, we have this victory hex in the extreme southwest, Zaporozhye. Capturing this will cut off Axis forces from retreating from the Caucasus. The stakes are enormous. Now, historically, the Soviets captured Kharkov and then they were driven back. We are going to be more successful, obviously. And by the way, what you're seeing is the first attempt. My strategy worked out almost perfectly. I got a bit unlucky here and there, and of course that unit that appeared here, and there was also one final SS division, which arrived a bit late to the party. They both caught me by surprise, so I wasn't prepared for them, but they couldn't turn the tide, so that's it. And the key to this battle is not the terrain, so I'm only showing you to show that the Donets is here, and that's the only major obstacle. Otherwise the terrain is fairly open, so that's the only one you should take into consideration. And maybe here around Pavlovrad. But the supply is quite horrible on both sides. So at first glance the AI has really excellent supply. All the roads, there are a lot of supply lines connected, and all of them are, you know, in supply. And interestingly, it doesn't receive any supply sources from the north, but from the west and even the east it does. So these two sources have a range of 2 along the roads, and this one has a range of 4. So until we cut this one off, the whole supply network has a range of 4. However, it's pretty crooked, and we get 3 partisan actions per turn, so it's extremely easy to cut it off around Zaporozhye. And then once that happens on turn 2, and you can do it without any dangers whatsoever, the AI doesn't have units and doesn't spawn units in the vicinity to prevent you, then all its supply will fall to 2. And we are going to proceed and cut them, all of these supply sources off methodically, you know what I want to say, so methodically, and eventually we will simply starve them out. The thing is that there are some units which we can easily overpower, and this whole southern front is not very scary. But there are also a few units which are extremely strong, and especially the newly spawned units will be extremely powerful. So the way it works is we need to capture Belgorod by any means. We are going to lose quite a lot of steps, and I think even a unit in assaulting it, but that's how it must be done. And we also must apply pressure on the AI here, because we severely outnumber and outgun them, so our chances are great. And we are going to win a one-on-one, well, rather a traditional battle here, so no shenanigans here. We're going to just plow through them, and it's not going to be very costly for us, by the way. Afterwards the AI reinforcements will arrive, they will counterattack, and we need to cut them off at the source, cut off the supply, and they wait until they run dry and just remove them afterwards. Our supply situation is horrible. We have 2 supply sources, both with a range of 8, and we have 1 logistics special action per turn. I never really figured out what to do. I kept upgrading this, as I've said, this is the first attempt anyway. I kept upgrading this one in the south so that our units reach further, because I was thinking that our supply will eventually reach until Kharkov and Belgorod, and then we just need to rush ahead to Zaporozhye. But actually the AI is never going to put up a defensive front, or at least in my case didn't put up beyond the Dnieper, so we just washed them off. So let's see how it goes. It was actually pretty clear. So I immediately start by trying to cut off Zaporozhye. It won't happen in the first turn. You need 4 partisan actions to make an automated connection. So in the next turn we will cut them off, and that will be fine. I will never remove this blockade, by the way. So we during turn 2 we will have actually removed the strongest, the only reliable supply source for the AI forces, and then they can only really operate right next to road hexes. Alright, we cannot assault these Panzer Grenadiers, but we can remove this Deutschland SS infantry unit. It's not that powerful. And of course we can bully the Hungarians, the half-depleted Hungarians. That's not really scary. We can also attack this depleted unit. I was thinking that it was weakened enough, it was already a bit depleted to attack, but that didn't go as expected. we erase the range of the supply sources I've explained. And that's how far I got in the north. I didn't attack the SS again this turn. This is not a major threat, and it's already cut off. I came here to cut the AI, this unit off, and I think these ones are still in supply, but whatever. Everything for the AI is currently going to be in supply, but that is going to change very soon. In the south, as I said, we actually have a chance to simply outgun them, and my idea was very simple. I wanted to destroy either of these units or both of them, push and get here to this bend, and maybe also threaten or attack this Panzer division. Believe it or not, with our veteran level, we are very much a clean match for these tank units, so we don't need to be afraid of them. But we got extremely unlucky, and we didn't actually manage to cut through the AI's defenses for some reason. These units should have retreated. They never did, so that was pretty sad. They had like a 80% chance or something to retreat, but they never did, so that was pretty disappointing. So I could do nothing else but, you know, move my units a bit more to the west. And as I've said, this was attempt number 1, so I wouldn't mind. It's a relatively small map in the sense that there aren't many units on it. So I was thinking that, well, if I fail, I fail, but I was quite a bit disheartened by it. The AI has nothing against us here, so it can hold the river line relatively successfully, but once we break through, we're all good. Now it's turn 1 for the AI. Only this one, well, or rather these 2 units are out of supply, so let's see what it does. It retreats next to Kharkov, okay. Yep, there is nothing they can do on either fronts. We outnumber them, and even more importantly, the area is large, so we can outmaneuver them. What I mean is that they cannot form a cohesive front line. They have so few units, and we have a lot of relatively fast units, so we can easily rush wherever we want to, and we can easily play around with the map. We don't necessarily have to engage in any kind of battle, costly battle that we want to avoid, except for the capture of Belgorod, in my opinion. All right. As you can see, the AI couldn't really create any kind of defense. It's defending Kharkov because it was aware that this one unit won't hold it, so it's holding the river hex here. But now it's allocated its literally only really useful unit to this defense, which is not very great. It's going to be resupplied, but whatever. Everything else is okay from our perspective. And now I start by cutting them off, and this happens, and that's great. So I immediately move on to the other well, not immediately, but I'm going to move on to use my partisan actions around Poltava, so that we can also cut them off here, or Stalino. I don't remember which one we do first, but I want to cut off all of these supply routes, so we win that way. Alright, I want to destroy this CTX. This goes extremely poorly, unfortunately. And this is on our side of the river, if I remember correctly. So we remove this weakened German unit. This is not going to be a problem. And now there was a bit of an issue here, and the issue is this: this unit is going to well, it's not going to be resupplied actually, because wait, it's too fun. No, it's not going to be resupplied, so because we cut off their only worthwhile supply. Its supply reaches only until here. So I was thinking that we can wait until next turn. Its specialist step is still active, so it's pretty formidable. We removed the Hungarians, as you can see, so all these avenues are open. Kharkov only needs to be taken by the end of turn 6, so we are in no rush to take the city at all. And yeah, let's destroy the SS. And yes, this goes costly, but we finally destroy it. We lose another whole unit for it, and we spawn the reinforcement unit. And because of this, I was like, well, we no longer need to be afraid of this unit. We managed to suppress it completely. So I was like, well, once again, the AI cannot really do anything. So let's assault it. It still stands firm. It was an attack across the river, so that was something. But now I decide to remove it. This tank didn't have a better target, and we captured this city of Belgorod already on turn 2. So that's great. Currently we're okay, and I raised the supply so that the city is well supplied and everything is fine and dandy. Now we can turn to the south where the further objectives are, and yeah, so obviously this goes off without any problems. And now we want to move ahead and cause as much havoc as we can. I wanted to corner this unit, but it didn't work out. And I want to propel my tank units forward so that the AI gets spooked. That was a pretty lucky roll for the AI. I don't know if there wasn't a river there, so that was a pretty... I'm pretty lucky for the AI rather, so that was unexpected, but whatever, we finally win. And yeah, I get this unit back into supply, and we can even attack across the river. These units are nothing to be worried about, for instance these weakened units. And this tank is on our side, on our bank of the river. It theoretically is in supply, but it doesn't have a chance against all these units, so I say we have won, and we are already rushing ahead for Zaporozhye, so this will make the AI recalculate its strategy. But we are also going to attempt cutting them off here. As I said, we need 4 actions to create a connection. Obviously we have 2 remaining after the one here. Next turn we will be able to cut this one off as well. And then these units will start to run dry, and this one is sorry, not this one, but these 4 definitely will start to run dry. So we are in no rush, we are in no hurry. We need to capture this on turn 5, so we have 3 further turns to capture it. And I'd say we're already winning, so it's all good. The only one that here is relatively difficult, seems difficult, is Kharkov, but we are looking good. So obviously at this moment the AI doesn't seem very hot. So if it didn't receive any reinforcements, I'd say I could win in like 2 further turns or something. By the end of turn 4 we would be able to eliminate everything, maybe even capture Zaporozhye as well. And then what we knew would happens. The Leibstandarte and the Das Reich, so the first 2 SS divisions, arrive in almost full strength. It has 6 steps. They're both elite. The Das Reich has only 4 steps, but it's also elite. They're Panzer Grenadiers, they're very fast, they're very good. You have nothing against these units, so don't ever engage them directly in battle unless you really have to. You will just melt away in front of them. So we cannot stand against them on in a fair battle. And they also received a weak Panzer division in the south. We don't care about this one. For some reason it's not removing these hexes that we captured. I don't know why. I would have used it to remove them and then move on. But it's going to make our job easier. I don't worry about this one at all. Obviously around the situation around Kharkov is more questionable. But the AI gets spooked, as I said. I knew this would happen, and it's actually trying to create a front line, to bar us from reaching Kharkov. And yeah, the Großdeutschland is another excellent unit that the Axis have, the AI has, so don't underestimate them, as I said. So on our turn 3, things have changed quite radically from the end of turn 2. Kharkov seems impossible to be taken at this moment because it's it's very well defended by 3 excellent units, any one of which is better than all of our forces combined, I would say, but the 3 of them together are definitely far better. In the south we're okay, but the AI has managed to stabilize somewhat. Not saying it's excellent, but something is something. So let's see what happens. Well, we cut them off in the south. That goes off without any problems, obviously. That's not an issue. So the connection happens, and this supply source is also cut off, and I immediately use the last partisan action to initiate the cutoff at Poltava as well. So currently, the AI these units are totally cut off here in this bulge, and everything else has to sit within 2 hexes of a supply route. And once that is cleared out as well, then we are much better. So the idea is very simple. We need to propel some units, and by some units I mean only the tank units are able to go there as quickly to forwards, and try to cut them off already in this turn so that they stop becoming a threat as soon as possible. We won't be able to hold are grounded. If they recapture Belgorod, we have lost the scenario. So let's occupy some zones of control, or one rather, and one zone of control was sufficient. This tank unit could already get to the this road hex, and at this moment literally all of the AI's units are cut off from supply. Supply reaches until here. Exactly. So so nothing basically. Now the AI is still going to be able to act the next turn, attack as well, so let's not underestimate it. But we're still looking okay. Obviously I want to hold Belgorod, and I remove that unit so that we don't lose the gun. I remove this unit as well because I didn't see any use for it. So I need to see what it does the next turn, but we need to hold Belgorod at all costs on this turn. And if the AI doesn't manage to capture back one of their supply routes, and only this one is really either this or the one around the south could be recaptured, then on their second turn from now they won't be able to attack, and we can just win. Alright? In the south we can do this, bang, and also do this. Let's destroy this unit. It already had one suppressed step. Now it is fully suppressed, so let's destroy it. It's fun. And we can even start attacking so you can see we are evenly matched against their panzer divisions. They are not very scary. And I came here so that the supply route is clear, is held, and they don't take the bridge back. You know, it's a kind of a defensive measure. Not that these units are very scary, to be honest. It will never move out of the victory hex, so these two units will sit here and rot. And yeah, these two units are just bogus. So on this front we have won. I know this by now, so there is no need to worry about it. We are preparing for the siege. Again, we are not scared, or there is no danger here really. We're connecting up the hexes. As you know, our supplies are not on road hexes, so it's not that important, but at least, you know, something happens. So well, we are mostly in supply, so that's good in my opinion. Most of our units are supply, and I realized that we don't need so many units here in the north, so I also propelled this unit forward. My thinking was that if the SS turn back, then they can very easily clear out this unit. That's not even, there's no question about it. But I still want to make sure that we don't lose the opportunity to capture this supply hex, or at least cut it off. So the more units they have to remove, the better. And I do this so that our supply, you know, we have more hexes where supply can come through. We don't see it now, but our supply reaches until here, so it's all good. Now it's turn 3 for the axis. Everything is running out slowly of supply, so this is their last turn they can act unless something magical happens. So let's see what they do. I'm very happy about these movements. This one as well, it actually force moved, so what that means is that this one it won't be able to attack. I'm 100% sure this unit won't attack across the river, but if it does, I'll be very happy to oblige. So and for some reason they wanted to gang up on this one poor unit here. I don't know why. But yeah, that one is forfeit, unfortunately, so it cannot stand against these elite units, and it won't. Connecting up this road, it doesn't matter. There is no supply source here, so I know now that we have won, and the next turn no AI unit will be able to attack, none of them. We have basically won, and if we just keep on sitting here, then they will slowly start to become worse and worse. So the only challenge now is to capture this, capture the victory hexes on time. Turn 5 for these two, turn 6 for this one, and turn 7 for Zaporizhia. Let's not forget about this one. It's empty, and actually the AI is not gonna spawn anything there, but it's a bit far. Alright, let's raise our supply range again. It's in the south because that's where we need to progress further. Everything is in supply in the north. And I decide to remove this tank unit because I don't care about losses. It's not going to be able to counterattack. So in the next turn we would have removed it anyway. But as you can see, it melted away anyway. And of course we use our weakest unit to capture it. There is nothing threatening it. Let's go for the other victory hex. There is nothing threatening us really. And I pull this unit back so that it's in supply. I also attack this unit so that this tank unit will remain in supply. If I brought it here, then it won't be able to attack the next turn. I wanted to avoid that. We are holding the breach just so that the AI doesn't think about anything funny with this Gebirgsjäger unit. And at this moment we're basically okay. If you look at it, these two units won't hold us, that's for sure, and these units won't be able to attack, so we have won. It's turn 4 and we have already won, but we remove the Panzer unit and we capture the supply source, and we sit on it because we know that the AI won't be able to attack the next turn, and so even if it moves right next to us, we will be fine. If we didn't capture it, it theoretically could move back into a supply hex. I don't think it would be a problem anyway, but this was the most convenient solution. I don't care that this unit is going to fully run out of supply. It doesn't need to do anything, just sit there and be pretty, and don't let any unit step there. Okay, so I entrenched this unit out of fun. There was nothing that I could think about doing. It cannot move away because the AI could still theoretically just walk in, so we don't want that. So we cannot leave this hex empty, but we don't need to worry about anything else really, because as I've said, they won't attack us, so there is no danger whatsoever. Alright, after some reallocations, I couldn't do anything else with the partisans. They're not needed anywhere, they're not useful. If you know this map better than I did, because again this is the first try, you could try to allocate the partisan actions to hexes where the AI spawns units, and then the AI won't be able to spawn those units, so that's something. But I didn't know that, so I just was just having fun using it randomly. Alright, turn 4 for the AI. It literally has 4 plus 2 units, so 6 units which cannot attack. They're already half depleted, so it looks grand. And then it received this unit, and I was like, oh yeah, it's not a real problem. So even if it clears out this area, this is the Viking SS unit, by the way. It's extremely weak. It has 3 steps. It's veteran, but it's a standard infantry unit, so it's not a scary unit at all. But it could clear out this patch here, and it could move up to the victory axe, and I didn't know if further reinforcements were coming, so I wasn't happy about the appearance of this one. And yeah, I don't know why it did that, but it moved. I also don't know why it did that. It actually didn't capture the road or the supply hex, so this one is still in our hands, and it's a supply line hex. So the AI supply runs until here. It's already out of, so it walked out of supply for some reason, but it didn't need to. I was afraid it would walk in here. We still have the next turn to recapture it, so I wasn't that scared. But now I realized that I need to leave some units here to make sure that it's not recaptured by some random unit spawning here and just walking there. Alright, the AI comes here. It's totally inconsequential. I was actually even happy that we didn't need to go around these units. I wouldn't have attacked them still. They are still extremely strong. And as you can see, elite units don't lose any steps to suppression, even on their second turn of being out of supply. So these units are still extremely strong if attacked, so we wouldn't want to attack it. But yeah, it's our turn 5. This victory X is already captured. We only need to capture this one, and as you can see, there is no way the AI is going to hold on to this one, so I'm not scared at all. Let's raise our supply once again. And yeah, let's capture Kharkov as well. It's not due until next turn, but there is nothing threatening us whatsoever, so we don't care. And we capture it, and we come back here to reconnect up the supply. It's running up quite decently, I would say, but you know, not the best. Unfortunately, the bridges are either, well, there are quite a few bridges, but that's how it is. And that's all we're gonna do in the north. We're not moving out of this with this unit, because the AI might just be able to roll into it, back into the victory axe, and then we would lose, so it's fine. It can stay there. Let's go to the south. Again, we have no resistance here. We capture this victory axe and hold it, and we capture the other victory axe that we need to capture this turn, and obviously that goes off without any problems as well. And yeah, we capture the hex itself. Let's remove this unit as well, not that it matters, but you know, you never know. And I propel this unit forward. It won't be able to attack the next turn, but we need to capture this until the end of turn 7. The next turn is turn 6, and we are already 3 hexes away, so even depleted, this unit can just march in. And yeah, at this moment, there is nothing else on the map apart from these 3 SS units, which will be fully depleted in the next turn. So, sorry, this one is the Großdeutschland, it's not an SS, it's a Heer unit. So these 3 Panzer Grenadier units and the Viking in the south. And I was like, I'm not really scared about this unit as well, so why don't we attack it and see how it goes? And it goes, well, excellently. So that's how we're gonna leave it be. And once again, we didn't have anything. I didn't have a better idea to use the partisans, and that I know it wasn't a good idea, but you know what can you do? I was hoping we would cut off their supply source better here. Maybe the Gebirgsjäger wanted to crawl back here where there is still supply. Anyway, turn 5 for the Axis. It literally has this one Viking unit with 2 steps, so this is not going to change the course of this battle. It's not going to turn the tide. These 3 units are fully depleted. They're totally worthless. No matter how great they are, they will just die. And then this happened, and I was totally, this caught me totally unawares. I didn't expect the 3rd SS division to also join the party. The Totenkopf is here. It's elite. It has 6 steps, and it's a Panzer Grenadier division. Once again, it's an excellent unit, and it promptly starts by destroying our unit holding the victory hex, overruns it. That was not a big deal, to be honest, because yeah, so that unit is just excellent. And I was kind of afraid it would go on a rampage, but for some reason it came here. I don't know why it came here. There's nothing here. I don't know what they tried to achieve here, but whatever it was, it definitely did not achieve it. And it's not going to spawn more units, so at this very moment I know we have won, because we can just capture this point the next turn, so then there is no danger about it. And yeah, this unit runs back into supply and then runs back forward again. So yeah, sometimes does these things that it clearly doesn't know what it wants to do. So turn 6, we have won. We are 1 action away from winning, moving this tank unit here. So and by the way, it's not due this turn, so we're all good. So let's have some fun. Let's raise our supply while I'm thinking, and let's remove everything that we can from the map. So this won't be a problem. The SS also won't be a problem in the south. And these 2 Panzer Grenadier units also won't be a problem, as you can see. Yep, we recaptured the supply source of the AI, just for fun. And yeah, and we won like this. I'm just having some fun here. Basically, there is no, it's of no consequence what I'm doing here. And yep, and at this moment there is nothing we can send against it. We could have sent units against this, but this unit would have repelled them. So the Totenkopf SS division is better than anything we field at all. I'd say twice as good as our best unit on the battlefield. So that's fine. Even if the battle lasted a turn longer, we could have moved some barriers here so that it doesn't recapture this victory axe. We could have moved some units there. They might have died, but we would have held the victory axe, and then we could have proceeded to capture Zaporozhye, but there is no need to do that. We just walked in and then we won. On turn 6, so 1 turn ahead of time, the AI has 1 unit that is going to start running out of supply. Not that it matters, by the way. It could still act the next turn, and it will definitely could destroy 1 or 2 of our units, but that's it. Basically, we've lost very few divisions on this map. Everything is held firmly, I would say. So I think it's a very easy map. The only key here is using your partisans to cut off the supplies, and I recommend the order that I did. So first the main supply route and cut it off around Zaporozhye. That's the only way you can easily cut it off with 4 actions. So on turn 2 it will be cut off, and the others you can do it like I did. So around Stalino you can use the partisans again, and around Poltava you need to get a unit there, and then the AI will just crumble. That's basically it. There is nothing it can do about it. And in any case, literally the only part where they have superior forces is around Kharkov, where they receive reinforcements. The reinforcement units and the Grossdeutschland division are the only formidable units that the AI has. Everywhere else, you are already stronger than the enemy. So use this strategy, but it's one of those maps where you as the Soviets can actually go up against the AI, even in one-on-one fights, and and win, or at least have relatively acceptable results. Well, except for the SS, as I said. Alright, this was Gallop / star. I think this is one of the easiest scenarios in this campaign. It's quite a lot of fun. It's a bit too obvious what you have to do. It's large, so you can cut off the supplies at the source. But other than that, it's great, and yeah, it's not difficult at all. If you're struggling with it, if you're having any issues, then just follow my lead, and then you should be fine. All right, I thank you all for watching. See you all next time. Bye bye.